Hello everyone, this is Recon Stewart, and this is kind of a offshoot of what I normally do, but this past week I had the opportunity to visit the Palm Springs, California Air Museum, where they have a number of older World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam War airplanes on display. And I got the opportunity to go inside a Boeing B-17G Flying Fortress, and they were gracious enough to let me take some video. Now, I will apologize for my camera work. It's a little shoddy, but I thought it was really cool and wanted to share it with you guys. If you're reading this while I'm talking, you can see that the B-17 was the backbone bomber of the European theater of World War II. They made over 12,700 of them, and they flew a little under 300,000 missions between 1942 and 1945. Over 40% of them were lost in action because of the Allied strategy of daylight bombing, starting in France, but then moving to the Netherlands and eventually into Germany. So it was quite the task that the Allies took on, and definitely why they're the greatest generation that ever existed, in my opinion. The B-17s, out of the 12,731, only 12 are still flyable. So this one that I was on today actually was a flyable plane. This is a map of the air bases in England. I'm sorry that you can't really read the names, but you can see that they're all north of London. I imagine that was because they did not want to be closer to the Luftwaffe and their bombing runs. But they, if you can see the map here, ended up departing England over the North Sea and then into Germany. Hundreds of bombers in their square formation, if you've ever seen those before. So anyway, the B-17 I got to get on was at the Palm Springs Air Museum in California, and her name is Miss Angela, and she's a B-17G. You can tell because it's got the nose turret there underneath the bombardier's position up in the front. This aircraft is flyable, and it does take people up and around, but it costs a ton of money to keep these things maintained and flying. But without further ado, I'm going to get the video of the tour started here, and I hope you guys enjoy.
I get out of bed pretty good, but I got more strength in the morning, you know? Whenever you're ready, I'll take you through.
Okay. I'm ready.
I'll see you guys.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll take a minute.
Here's the buffet. Okay, you ready to go in?
Yep. I guess we're ready, sir.
Okay. The ladder is for visitor convenience. The actual crew grabs it. It's going to be in the Navy hangar, which is the farthest one over.
Okay.
At 4 o'clock.
Thank you very much.
It's the crew grabs a piece of wood right here and they flip their feet up. That's how they get in.
Mm-hmm.
The ladder is for
Us.
visitors. Yeah,
Yeah.
us. Me too. Anyway, when you go up the ladder, you look through this opening here, and against this bulkhead you'll see a table. That's where the navigator had his charts and plotted the mission. And then all the way up front you'll see a seat there, and that's where the bombardier sat. don't face that way, just look that way and crawl back 2 feet and stand up and I'll tell you the rest.
Okay.
Are you a crew chief?
So that's the bombardier's chair. And the navigator's table. Pretty close quarters in here. Men were smaller back then.
Yeah. So were you a crew chief on one of these?
No. I'm the crew chief because I got a lot of combat hours and have a lot of experience. In reality, the reason I'm the crew chief, they offered it to 2 other guys and they turned it down. That's why I'm the crew chief. And this crew chief here means I'm the supervisor of the volunteers.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with the airplane. But there is one guy out there who did 34 missions as a bombardier on this type of airplane.
Over in England?
And yeah, in England, he flew from England to over Germany.
Yeah.
You can't see from here. He's a skinny guy and he's 91 years old, so he's the oldest one of us, so you can tell which one's he. Anyway, this pipe railing and a webbing, like the ladder, is for visitor safety. The combat aircraft always got a clothesline across there.
Okay.
But it really doesn't matter because when a plane takes off, this door is closed, this door is closed, there's another door on the other side, the bomb bay is closed, and nobody walks about the aircraft. You only walk around for 5 reasons. One reason is when a plane takes off, the bombs are not armed. So there's a pin. It'll pull the pin out, and then the bombs are armed.
Okay.
So one reason to walk around the aircraft is to arm the bombs. Another reason, if there's a fire, you got to put the fire out. Another reason, if somebody's wounded, you got to help them. Another reason, sometimes a bomb gets hung up on a rack. You got to get rid of it because it's armed. And the 5th reason, you're going to bail out. Other than that, you do not move about the aircraft. And the reason you don't move about the aircraft, when enemy fighters attack you, they don't attack you in seconds. It's a fraction of a second. They're going 400 miles an hour. They come up out of the sun. You don't see them. If they come out of the sun, you'll hear the bullets hit the plane before you see them. And if they come from other directions, they're going 400 miles an hour. So this thing's going about 160 miles an hour. They're going 400. So if they're coming head on, they're closing at 560 miles an hour. So that takes seconds to do that. This is the bomb bay. It holds 6,000 pounds worth of bombs. It's mostly in the form of a 500-pounder.
What would that one be?
That's a 250-pound practice bomb.
Okay.
So a 500-pounder, I'll show it to you when we leave the plane. The 500-pounder is twice as heavy and 4 times as big as that. So I'll show you that when we leave.
So the engineer, the navigator, the bombardier, the pilot, and the co-pilot mainly stayed in this compartment and forward,
Yeah.
and everybody else stayed back there.
Yeah. There's 5 in the front and 5 in the back.
Whose job was it to arm the bombs?
Well, it's either the radio operator, the flight engineer, or the bombardier, whoever, who's ever doing the least, I guess, at the time. You guys join the Air Force to get out of the trenches and the foxholes. This is 100 times worse than the Air Force, than the infantry. It's 40 below zero at 25,000 feet, and there's no oxygen. Every station has a place to plug in their oxygen mask and a place to plug in their electric suit they wear. Because without that, you'd freeze to death.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, this was really, wasn't a picnic. Anyway, the pilot sits here, co-pilot here, and a flight engineer stands between them. When a flight engineer is not helping the pilot and co-pilot fly the plane, he operates this gun. You can't shoot this gun standing on a deck here. So you see this pin and this pin? This is a support for a platform that comes down to about here. All three of our heights are different. So the flight engineer will adjust the platform so that his eye lines up with a gun sight that's not here. It's right about where my fist is.
Okay.
So he would set that thing before they took off so that when the enemy planes attack, he could hop up on here, wouldn't have to adjust it.
Okay. And does this thing really move around much?
Oh yeah, this is electric. See, look here. See what it says here?
Okay. So it can turn clear around.
Not only clear around, it turns clear around, up and down, and it literally goes this fast.
Okay. Well, it need to.
Yeah, because the planes are going 400 miles an hour, so it does travel very fast. And it's pretty effective. Now, if you know anything about guns, these two guns are a fake. And the reason they're a fake, this plane does fly, and it was used by the Forest Service before we got it. And for every pound of weight they take off the plane, they can put a pound of fire retardant on board. So that's why all of this was missing. So they fabricated these. I'll show you when we get to the waist, they're real 50 calibers there, but these are a fake.
Okay.
Let's go back to the radio room. I'll show you something there.
Was this electric to up and down?
Up and down and horizontal.
But also manual in case.
The manual is usually for, like, the front end of a car gets out of alignment, the guns get out of alignment, so they would align the guns with this manual mechanism.
That's a tight fit.
So you flew in World War II?
No.
Oh.
I'm old, but I was 15 when World War II ended, so I just missed.
Okay.
One of you have a seat here. I'm going to put you to work, and you can sit here.
All right.
This is the radio room. The radio operator has 3 jobs besides the radio, 2 jobs besides the radio. One, there's a camera underneath the floor. It's not here now, but it takes pictures of the bomb damage. The pilot can't come back to the base and say, I bombed the hell out of the place, nothing's left. So he takes pictures. Another job he had, there was a 50 caliber machine gun in this opening. He would shoot at the enemy fighters with it. But they had more trouble with the radio operator shooting the rudder that most of the time this gun did not go along for the mission, and they put this hatch cover in and lock it in place.
Okay.
Okay.
What are these?
These are cables. You know, there's an expression called fly-by-wire. That's a commercial jetliner, has the pilot flies the controls and the controls fly the computer. And then the computer flies the plane. Well, that expression is called fly-by-wire. But this is a fly-by-wire, and these are literally the wires that fly the plane. From the yoke where the pilot and co-pilot sit, these wires go back to the surfaces of the wing, ailerons, flaps, and the rudder and elevator, and that literally flies the plane. So, and then they're redundant because in case some of them get shot out, so there's 6 on this side and 7 on this side, and the reason there's 7 on this side is this wire here tells the co-pilot whether the tail wheel's up or down.
Okay. And do these move when they're...
Oh yeah.
They were moving, okay.
Yeah.
I figured they had to.
Oh yeah. When he moves the yoke back and forth this way, then these wires move and tell the elevator and the ailerons what to do, and then the foot pedals are attached to the rudders. And when he moves the foot pedals, the rudders move.
Okay.
Now, in World War II, this is called a rack. To change the frequency, he takes this out and he puts one of these in. That was a technology in World War II. And
Instead of a dial.
well, no, there is a dial on each one for fine tuning.
Okay.
But in other words, they didn't have all the frequencies on one rack. They had them separated in the 6. Like if you took the face of a clock, and let's say from 12 to 2 is one frequency, 2 to 4 is another frequency, 4 to 6 is another frequency. That's what they did. They divided the frequencies up so that there was a portion of the frequencies in each rack.
I see.
So they changed that, and the reason they have to change them was the enemy is listening. So every time they change it, the enemy's got to listen all over again. So, and then reach down and turn that knob there. That's a rheostat for the electric suit they wear. And that rheostat adjusts it for warm or hotter, so he can make it comfortable for him.
That's just for one individual suit.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So
Every station has a place to plug in the oxygen and an oxygen hose. You see, I'm sorry, to plug in the electric suit here and the oxygen hose. See, there's the oxygen for this position. There's another one for this position, and then they might be missing, but the rheostat for the electric suit
right down there, I bet.
might have been where that hole is.
Okay.
And it might be. I think there's. Look, I think there's one here. Is that one down there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of things are missing on the plane because everything they took off, they saved weight with the Forest Service.
Okay, so that was the radio
Yeah.
guy. What this person did.
There's only one person in here.
Oh.
And the reason there's extra seats, I'm going to tell you that right now. When the plane takes off, it's very heavy. It's got 6,000 pounds worth of bombs. They go to Berlin, it's 2,800 gallons of fuel, 10,000 rounds of ammunition. And the crew weighs between 1,500 and 2,000. So to help with the takeoff, the 5 crewmen in the back all come up to the radio room. 3 sit on the seats and 2 sit on the floor. By bringing the crew up front, it helps with the takeoff.
Okay.
With all the extra heavy weight, the gross weight at a plane is close to 60,000 pounds, which is 30 tons. So it's pretty heavy. So to help with the takeoff, they all move up, and that helps with the takeoff.
Okay.
After the plane is airborne, the bull turret gunner is the only crewman with a height and weight restriction. Maximum height is 5'5", and the maximum weight is 120 pounds. So he's the only crewman that has that. After the plane is airborne, he takes this red handle and puts it on a pin that you can't see from here, and then cranks it around, and the opening that's outside comes inside.
Okay.
Then he puts the handle back, so we'll have it for next time, gets into the hatch, closes it up, and it's electrically operated just like the top turret was. Let's go back here and step down, and I'll tell you some more. Now, the floor you're standing on is not for visitors. I told you the ladder was for visitors, the pipe railing was for visitors. This floor is so the gunners will have a stable platform.
Okay.
The ammunition box and the wood floor are wood for 2 reasons. Wood's lighter than metal, and especially the ammunition, wood conducts static electricity less than metal. This is a real .50 caliber machine gun, unlike the ones in the top turret. Now the tail gunner is the only crewman with his own emergency exit. You see the light on the left side a little bit?
Yeah.
The reason he has his own emergency exit, there's so many obstacles for him to come up from the tail to go out this door that he might not make it.
Right.
So that's why he has his own private emergency exit. This is a G model. This is the first model that staggered these guns. The D, E, and F model, this gun right there was right here, and they bumped into each other. So in the G model, they moved that gun out of the waist gunner's way. Let's go out and walk over to the ball turret.
Now,
I don't usually come in the back because the back is all sealed up. There's two fake 50 caliber machine guns, and the whole back has been riveted shut. So it has no resemblance of a B-17 in combat.
you remember Uncle Ben? Was he a nose gunner or a tail gunner?
He said it was one of the scariest things you have to do.
Where are you from?
Wyoming, that's where he was from. And there was a B-17 base there during the war. And he's related to us by marriage. And this is what he did during the war.
Wow. All right, let's look at the ball turret. Contrary to popular belief, this is the safest position on the aircraft.
Really?
The least casualties in the ball turret. Well, two reasons. The planes, three reasons. The planes attack from out of the sun, back, and the front. And if they attack from the bottom, enemy fighters go 400 miles an hour. If they attack from the bottom, gravity's slowing them down. So the slower they go, the easier they are to hit. Because when you go slow, you're easier to target. So most didn't come up from the bottom. Now, the ball turret gunner sits on a bullet resistant seat, and his heels go into stirrups in the upper left and upper right.
Okay.
And his back rests against that strap right there. And this turret is electrically operated, and it has a manual control. If there's electrical failure and he had to bail out, he doesn't have a parachute in there with him. 99% of the ball turret gunners didn't put the parachute, take it in with them because it's so tight in there. So if the pilot's having difficulty, he would have to rotate the ball turret so this opening is in the plane, then he'd crawl out, put his chute on, and wait for the word to bail out. So in this thing, if there's electrical failure, it has a manual control that will manually crank this around so he wouldn't be...
Was that crank that you pointed out earlier? He took it in?
No. That crank was strictly to bring this opening that's outside, inside, manually.
Okay.
Now, once you get in here, the turret's electrically operated. If there's an electrical failure, then he couldn't crank that back to get out to put the parachute on. Then he would manually crank the turret back.
Okay.
Let's go up front and show you something. This is a G model. This is the first model that had this chin turret here and staggered the waist positions. Now, when they first designed this chin turret, those green canvases were not there. As a result, the cold air going into that opening at the 25,000 feet, the temperature was minus 40 degrees. The guns froze. Also, when the planes take off, it's something called a prop wash. You know what that is? So the prop wash from the plane in front would blow dirt and debris off the runway in that opening in between the dirt and debris that went in there, and the freezing cold, the guns jammed. So the bombardier came back after the mission and he said that, you know, the guns jammed, what can we do? So the engineer went around to the plant, and it was 85% women because it was during the war, and one lady was a camper. She said if you took a piece of canvas and stretched it across that opening with a heavy-duty zipper, and that had the handle of the bottom zipper at the bottom of the barrel, the handle of the top zipper at the top of the barrel, then as the guns go up and down, that would keep out the cold air and the dirt and debris, and for a minimum charge, they adopted that, and it was very successful.
Okay, so they zip up, they zip down, they zip
Oh
out.
my God,
Okay.
not the work-related ones.
And that,
So,
and that concludes the
what
tour.
meniscus, plane rack
Thank you.
Thank you
It's
very
very
much.
interesting.
Okay.
That's the one in the station.